Alright, this morning with YST tool evap tester on my F250 because I got a P0152 code, which is bank 2 running rich, and I'm looking for vacuum leaks because the idle is also stumbling. This is the evap solenoid, if I don't miss my mark, and I'm trying to document which thing is connected to which thing. So it looks like black is on top and red is on bottom. I think I'm going to pull that evap solenoid and replace it. So apparently this is not the evap purge valve. That is the solenoid for activating the vacuum locking hubs for four-wheel drive, which were replaced a long time ago with manual locking hubs because we like to actually use four-wheel drive. So I did the right thing, capped those lines off with some drill bits, and we're going to test and see whether or not that solves the problem or not. If it does, then I'll figure out a better way to cap those lines in here somewhere, and there, and so forth and so on. Alright, round 2 on the smoke checker. I have it now hooked up to the vacuum side, which is leading off over to the intake, and we have no leaks. I have a different theory here. So I was originally suspecting it was a four-wheel drive vacuum actuated hub solenoid assembly, but I don't think that's what it is. And I actually think this deliberately leaks vacuum because that's the only way it would unlock the hubs. And since the hubs are unlocked, I'm not in four-wheel drive right now, that's where the vacuum leak was coming from. So chasing waterfalls, that was a wild goose chase. I do not believe at this point I have a vacuum leak, so at this point I'm thinking I might have a problem with the throttle position sensor. Throttle position sensor is over here, so I might just throw one on there and give it a shot. Basically, I'm looking for a voltage range of 1.5 volts, I think, to 3 volts. So I may also just throw a multimeter on there and check that out. Alright, it has been a solid 2 weeks since we've worked on this truck, if not longer. The check engine light is back on, and I have this part now from Rock Auto. Took a long time to get here. Sometimes that happens with Rock Auto. This is a fuel pressure regulator, and deep back there behind the intake is where it's located, because you wouldn't want it up front. I believe that's what's causing our issue. I believe that we have gas leaking. This is a fuel pressure regulator, and it's vacuum activated. So what's happening is fuel is leaking around the diaphragm and getting into the vacuum system, and that's causing our rich code. Anyways, enough talking. Let's rip this thing apart. Pop. Look really carefully right there behind that wire. That is the fuel pressure regulator, and that is behind all of that stuff. You can just barely get your hands on it, and if you're really careful, you can squeeze it out. Alright, I pulled a few of the vacuum hoses out of the way. See if we can't release a little bit of fuel pressure here. I'm gonna need a screwdriver or something to shove in that. Maybe try the cap. I want to bleed off a little of the fuel pressure. So there's basically, way back there, there is a snap ring. We're gonna squeeze those snap ring pliers in there and see if we can get it going. I think we want this pair of snap ring pliers. We may need to put in jaws that hook down like this and do it sideways. Try this first. Managed to get the snap ring off. And that should free up. There was a lot of cleaning that I had to do the last time I did this a couple years ago. knock that out. But that's basically the problem. Well, I broke the end off of this pick, well, this body removal tool. I'm trying to hook it under and pry out that regulator. It's held in with an O-ring. It's only 2 years old, but snap that off. I'm going to try a pick and see if that doesn't work. I tried getting some pliers and moving it around. Maybe I should have left the fuel pressure in there. And that way when I pulled the O-ring, the whole thing would have just blown off. Let's see, what pick do we want to use? Maybe that one? Yeah. Alright. So I was on here trying to pull this around, and it started just bending the side of that. So that's not going to work really well. I'm going to have to maybe get in there somewhere, or I don't know. Popped out. And you can see just a little bit of junk. You can see a bunch of junk and stuff in there. It's not helping things out. Interesting to note, the Ford part goes out to the side, and the Napa Eklund that we got goes out the top. Did not do good things to it when I pulled it out. I'm gonna steal from Jessica. Cleaned all sorts of junk out of here. New one. Although I'm wondering if I shouldn't lube up. I'm wondering if I shouldn't lube those up with a little bit of dielectric grease. Don't know how safe dielectric grease is on that, so I'm going to be very sparing, but it's got to have something. Popped right back in. Now the fun part is getting that O-ring, or the snap ring back in, and finding out where I left it, right there. Don't ask me how I did it, but I got it back in there. And then we're going to get all the vacuum lines and all the rest of this stuff hooked back up. Just like that. Last year I was having problems with these coils. And these are actually the new ones, the Excels. The ones over here should have been Ford Motorcraft. A couple of them are the originals. But since I'm here, I think now's a good time to get those replaced. And I just need to find the box. Box located. Looks like I did spark plugs too. Huh. Anyways, let's get a couple of those installed. I am violating the first rule of troubleshooting, which is never replace more than one part at a time. But hey, here we go. All right, the first 3 are easy, and now the rest of them get back to where the fuel pressure regulator is. So now the fun begins. It's one thing to say you're working on something. It's another to see the wonderful ergonomic position you get to be in on these trucks, right?
Yeah, it's fun if you're a contortionist.
Yeah.
And they always put things where they're easy to get to.
Well, you know.
The fat bastards that design this stuff will never have to work on it.
Hey, number 4 coming out.
Well,
fun and games.
Well, I'm not jealous.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Have a good time.
All right, last one is in. Let's start putting this thing back together again and test it and see what we got. All right, coils installed. Got the intake and all the hoses, knock-on radiator, back together again. Let's turn the key over once or twice, get some fuel pressure, and probably reset the codes before we do any of that. Running good. Codes are cleared. Time will tell whether or not we solve this problem or not. Not too worried about, really testing this before we take it out in the woods, because if we have a trouble code and we made it back from Cottage Grove in the fire, no problem. So that is it for now. Maybe more to follow. All right, folks, we have still not fixed the truck. We're still getting codes. And it's still giving us all sorts of trouble. So we are going to place fuel injectors. Got a $600 worth of fuel injectors here. All brand new. Ford Motorcraft. Don't trust anything but. And we're going to dig into this fuel rail and pull this thing apart. Let's start off with getting a bunch of junk out of the way. Assuming there is any pressure. Maybe there's not. Let's find out. Because, I mean, theoretically, if we have a leaking injector, like I think we do, then there's no pressure. Fun to pull out. Is there any additional screws back here? That's the fuel rail. That's the fuel pressure regulator that we put in. That vacuum line's going to have to come off. Do we dare start undoing injector plugs? Ow. But so far so good. So the ones on that side. If only my fingers bent that way. I gotta get this hand in there. I don't want to do that because that hand knuckles all busted up. I got it off. Oh, we should probably clean this all up, shouldn't we? Oh, there it goes, and there's all the pressure. At least the front part. Definitely feels like the back is bolted in. These are all gonna fight, aren't they? I went in there at the beginning of time. I bet you there's the bolt right back here somewhere. It's gotta be. Really wasn't all that much fuel pressure though. There's enough flexibility there. I can get them out. Including that back one. I want to bend the rail, but I got just enough room. There's another one. And these front ones are hard. They're not going to be near as bad as the back ones. And then we got to get the O-rings out. That's going to be tricky. Need to make a tool that go on slide hammers for fuel injectors. I'm going to say that these O-rings are definitely shot. Ah. Oh. I wonder if we just need to get, if I can find anything in there to pry with. Oh yeah, this is going to be fun. Got 2 picks. One is going to be our magic pick to get O-rings out. Yep. That's just the ticket. First 3, easy. Then they get hard. Because I still think we got something anchoring down the back. 4 was easy. Those are hard. Looks like 2 of them look different than the others. No, they're just not flipped over. Alright. Hard one. Oh, that one is actually still on the injector. Look at that. Okay, now this is our magic pry tool. We're getting injectors out. Okay, that one came out, so that's 3. Come. There's 4. And hardest one. Can we do it? That one's still kind of pinched by the fuel rail. I mean, that knot in my face would be lovely. Come on. Out you go. It's just a friction fit. You're just gonna pop right out. Oh, finally came out. Wow, that looks grungy as hell. Okay. And we got the O-ring on that. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 O-rings. This side is good. I think we will run. We're going to run a vacuum. Maybe. Okay. We got one side out. Let's do the side that probably does need to be replaced. All right. So 1, 2. So theoretically in here, we're going to find a smoking gun, right? One of these is going to look so terrible, it's going to say all over it, "I am your problem." Because the other problem we have is like an exhaust valve or something stuck open. Well, we can use compression to push out the fuel injectors. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? God. These look like they're progressively more and more buried back there. Alright, I need shirt off. Alright, so 3 is definitely frozen. Piece of string around it, and then pop it with a sled hammer. Alright, let's do something slightly less brutal on the hands. And get a few O-ring. And last one has an O-ring on it. Okay. Now, what are we going to do to get these guys out? We're going to go on the a little lube goes a long ways theory. Worst case scenario, I just lubed up everything I needed to hold on to. Like that one right there. Totally oiled it down. Tuck in there. Pry bar. Anything? Got that one out. 4 holes. A lot of junk. Look at all that junk. There's got to be a better way of pulling these things out. Oh, I think I see a mouse house in there. Lovely. Come on. Give me this one. Ah. Oh, got number 5 out. Doesn't look bad. But, you know, I mean, these are injectors. What does a leaking fuel injector look like? Oh, and of course you want to come right out. That's the leaking one, I'll bet you. See how that's all wet with fuel? And I bet you I can blow through that. There's. Yeah, bet you that's the leaker. That a fuel O-ring? Oh, wow. Snap goes the fingers. Oh, yeah. Crispy critters. Okay. Want to go? You want to come out? You do. Just want to come out. Come on. Like every time I've gotten one of these out, it's been lots of turning, lots of wiggling, lots of jiggling. Nothing more than that. I got all the pieces out. All right. Wow. Got all the injectors out. Oh, well. Oh. There, grabbing some motor oil. Pouring ourselves out. A little bit in the cap. That's going right there. And then that one's going to get shoved right back in there. And it's going to just seat right on in. Just like that. Perfect. What the hey? We're going to be so smart. We're just going to plug it in. Or we want to wait on that. Let's plug the first one in and we will wait on the rest. All right, we got all our rings accounted for. I think so. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think so. That one's in. Please tell me why these are $1,000 from Ford. $650 from Rock Auto. Rock Auto just buy that many of them? That one, yeah, let's let in. Okay. So theoretically, if that dripping one is as bad as I think it is, and had we been able to discover that, we probably could have fixed this problem for $62 instead of $600 and some odd dollars. There it goes. Doink. So the question is are we halfway there after we get this one done, or are we 3/4 of the way there because half the problem was getting the old ones out? See? Always hard to figure that out. Now, I am using motor oil on this, not the grease that I usually use, because I was simply told, and somebody showed me a technical document from NTK that silicone, which was in the grease I was using, is really bad for oxygen sensors. Okay, there's that hole. Way back there. This is going to be an ugly one. I want to get a clean hit on something that I can't even see. went in, but and that felt like crap. There we go. Feel a lot better about that. Next question is gonna be getting that. Oh, come on, flashlight. I like these flashlights, but I swear to God, I bump that on-off button every damn time. The rest of those sat. And then immediately popped out. That damn screw on there. The thing decides to walk up again. Why do I think I'm making myself up? I'm gonna have to work at the other side because I'm plugging all this shit in. Okay. Back one is in. Okay. Now, one last row. Home stretch. The problem side, bank 2. Seated. This rail seems to move a little better than the other side. I hope horsing around with that rail, I didn't kink or bend the back of it and screw myself really bad. And I need a new fuel rail. I think I can get away with it. We're going to find out. This one was a big problem one. I think that's seated. I'm going to go with yes. That one in. Looks in. Feels like it's in. Okay, now the two hard ones. Hard one and then the hardest one. Well, I think the hardest one is actually that back corner. Let's see if we can get to a spot where we can actually see it. Going in. Almost. I feel that's in there. Okay. One to go. Get the rail on. Don't break anything else. Oh. Hard one. Oh, actually, that one looks. It might actually be a little easier. I can actually see it. Way in the hole. Seriously. Oh, where were we? There's the hole. It's in the hole, but I don't feel like it's seated. Oh. Oh. Guess we find out when we put the rail over the top of it. I don't know either. Yeah, it definitely seems it's sitting higher than the other ones. It's still. I suppose it's within spec. The screw will go in. And it must be in the right spot. Tighten the fuel rail down. Reconnect the injectors. Fire this bad boy up. All back together again. Okay. A few more things to go. Back in. This has got to get plugged back in. Oh, did I screw myself? Please tell me I didn't. Okay, that's good. One or two primes on the key. On the fuel pump. See if we got any big leaks. That's one. That's two. Let's do it one more time. I think we're leak free. And let's clear codes. We're going to clear codes in the engine. And go from there. Remind me to get a new air filter. Alright, we got all the faults cleared. And we're going to go start the engine. I imagine it's going to run a little rough for a second or two while the air works out. And we're going to go real-time information. Hi, lady. But I want to look at, did it save any of my stuff? I want to look at fuel trims. We're going to add the graph. I'm not even sure I need to add it. Okay, waiting for data, so that's good. Latest value 32%. Short term. That's 17. It was 25 earlier. And this is what is the problem. And what we're hoping we're fixing. I don't see that problem going away. I'm not sure that the injector's fixed it. I need to take it for a drive to find out. Hi, girls. What are we doing? We causing trouble? Yeah. We have joy. Our fuel trims are all right where they're supposed to be. Just took the computer a second or two to catch up. It was definitely that leaking injector. No codes right now. We'll give this a good drive in the morning. But Willow, you think we fixed it? Willow thinks we fixed it. Awesome. Going for a drive, it's back to negative 25. Not good. Short term, doesn't look terrible. Maybe long term just takes a long time to reset, but I mean, it was pretty good there for a little bit. Well, there's one of my oxygen sensors, and it is in an easy location. Let's get that unbolted and get that out of there. Doesn't look terrible, but who's to say what's bad and what's not? New one all installed, looking good. Even had anti-seize on it. I did not have to use any of my own stuff, so nice. This is definitely the upstream one, so let's see if we can find downstream. I haven't found an oxygen sensor yet, so maybe that was the downstream one. But I do think we might need a new carrier bearing. I think that one might be a little shot. We also have a very loose exhaust hanger. So, you know, lots of things. Well, everything's running great with the truck. We just got back from Staten Metals. Drove all the way there. Pickup truck full of steel, metal roofing pieces left over from the shop. Got $52 back from that. And a little bit of rebar. The truck's driving like a champ. I think the next challenge on the truck is maybe going after that carrier bearing, because that would explain the little shimmy that we've got going on this thing that's I've been ignoring for a long time. I looked on Rock Auto, and there's about 7 or 8 different kinds of bearings. So wish me luck. Crawl under there a little bit later from now and see if I can find any numbers stamped on that thing, or worst case, start measuring it and seeing what the outer circumference is and a couple other identifying pieces. So, hey, truck is fixed. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you had a great day. Get on out there, volunteer, take care of this world, make this place a better place, and I'll see you guys in the next video.